Meredith bids farewell on Grey's Anatomy Season 19 Episode 7, titled I'll Follow the Light. Meredith receives a unique send-off for her final day at Grey Sloan Memorial in this episode. Of course, she also says that she'll probably be returning next week, indicating that we'll probably see her again. The interns are given the opportunity to work on a novel process in the interim. In Grey's Anatomy Season 19 Episode 6, after receiving life-altering news, Grey Sloan is struck by a thunderstorm. The attending surgeons and trainees collaborate to save a storm-injured reporter and his family. In the meantime, a well-liked author has a risky operation, and the storm causes problems. It's Meredith's final day at Grey Sloan in Grey's Anatomy Season 19 Episode 7, but her final procedure doesn't go as expected. Her discussion of relationships with Nick also doesn't go as expected. While this is going on, Maggie and Winston successfully complete a groundbreaking partial heart transplant. However, the joy is short-lived because Maggie eventually concedes that Winston cannot change his field at this point in the game. Micah, Simone, and Lucas receive keys from Meredith and her sisters to remain there while she is away in Seattle. Joe snatches Link and tells him to head across town and get Meredith a farewell cake. He planned to chart all day, but Joe persuaded him to do this for her. The trainees are introduced to Arlo Fisher, a newborn who is Joe's patient, by Winston and Maggie. Arlo, who was waiting for a heart transplant, has cardiac failure. Winston clarifies that they are only performing a partial heart transplant, only removing the main arteries. Because of its fragility, the organ cannot be transplanted. Although Maggie reassures the parents that it's their best choice to save Arlo, the parents are concerned about the risks. When Nick visits Meredith, it becomes clear that she hasn't been returning his messages. Nick disagrees with Meredith when she claims that residing in a hotel has been challenging. As their argument starts, Meredith chastises Nick for not declaring his affection for her when she told him. Nick is incensed that she seems to be blaming him for everything for not stating that, but Meredith assures him that she isn't. Nick storms out, though it doesn't seem like he cares that she's remaining. Only one student will be permitted to scrub in to watch their surgery. Maggie and Winston inform the interns. Winston pulls Blue away after they are sent off to the skills lab for their competition. He warns Blue not to do that after discovering him exercising his fingers in front of Arlo's parents. Blue admits that it helps him maintain objectivity in emotionally charged situations. Teddy asks Richard who he's considering for the position of head of surgery and advises him to hire someone local. Teddy is correct, in Richard's view, and he invites her to speak to the search committee. Teddy doesn't seem particularly motivated to participate, though, once she learns there isn't any additional pay involved. However, she is currently stranded, so she declares that she will attend. Joe is informed by Meadow, Arlo's mother, that she wishes to wait for a whole heart. Joe warns them that it might take up to 6 months to locate a donor heart match, but Meadow is confident they'll find one quickly. Joe tells them that Maggie is the most knowledgeable person and is speaking from experience. Meadow wants to postpone the surgery because she doesn't want to put Arlo's life in danger for a novel procedure. By finishing stitches, the interns compete to get a place on the operation. Micah storms out after giving up. When Simone responds to Lucas's call for assistance, things between them appear to be heating up once more. However, they are cut off when Simone receives a page. Tess, the writer Simone adores and cares for, is back in med. She injured her midsection from exerting herself too much. Micah visits Helm at the pub and requests assistance with her sewing. Helm appears uninterested, but Micah encourages her to keep moving by saying that she needs this victory. Helm finally seems to want to assist when Micah even offers to be her barback if she wins the competition among the interns. Tess observes a ring on Simone's chain as Simone and Lucas bring her in for a scan. When asked if Simone is betrothed, Simone responds that she once was but is no longer. When Lucas sees this, he appears astounded. Tess's scans are examined by Meredith and Nick, who determine to have her taken directly to surgery. When Amelia inquires about Maggie's relationship with Winston, Maggie believes that they are at least compatible in terms of their job and enthusiasm for the procedure. She acknowledges that they haven't talked about what they discussed just before the lightning struck the home very much, if at all. Joe explains to Maggie and Amelia that Meadow wishes to postpone the procedure. Given that she is not her doctor, Amelia agrees to speak with her. Amelia sits down with Arlo's parents and tells them about her son Christopher, who due to his medical condition, only survived for 43 minutes. Amelia tells them that she thinks about Christopher constantly and that she would have seized the opportunity to save his life if it had existed. Winston looks at the stitches on Blue, Mika, and Jules. Winston decides Mika is the victor and can participate in Arlo's operation. Jules confesses to Blue that she withdrew from the competition because she is afraid of babies in the observation area. When Jules was only 5 years old, her mother gave birth to her sibling in a kiddie pool in the backyard. Blue cannot help but laugh at the ridiculous tale, and the two continue to laugh until Zola stifles them and instructs them to focus on the operation. Tess collapses during the operation. Simone and Lucas observe in horror as Meredith begins compressions. Simone ultimately assumes responsibility for compressions. Nick tells her to halt because Tess has left. Simone requests permission to close Tess up as a favor. Lucas likewise wishes to stay and assist. In Arlo's surgery, the heart is effectively started beating after the arteries are connected. Nick informs Meredith that he despises everything about that day in the cleaning area. He continues by saying that this was not why he had come. Nick is informed by Meredith that she has 3 children, a successful job, and is an adult. Every time, she will decide what she, her children, and their needs are. She assures Nick that she won't beg him to love her and that he is welcome to be a part of her existence if he so chooses. Simone apologizes for getting upset about Tess when she sees Meredith outside. She should only repent once she has stopped feeling, advises Meredith. Her final procedure was on Tess. When Meredith inquires about Simone's grandma, Simone responds that it is bad. They don't get along very well because her sister recalls everything about her mother and holds Simone responsible for her passing. Meredith is informed by Simone that Tess placed her most recent book on a flash drive in order to send it to her Boston-based publisher. Meredith is asked to transport it after Simone hands it to her. Arlo's heart is beating entirely on its own, Joe informs his parents. Mika congratulates Maggie and Winston on their victory today and says how heroic they were in preserving the baby's heart. She admits that she was living in a van when it was towed and that this was the best part of a terrible day. Lucas inquires as to how Amelia managed to stop caring what other people believed. According to Lucas, he wanted to push for Tess to skip the scan and immediately undergo operation, but he held back out of concern for repercussions. Amelia shows that she does care a great deal and still acts morally. Amelia reassures Lucas that he will stand up for his convictions the next time. Link arrives carrying Meredith's dessert. Link neglected to verify it, and they later discover that their cake is actually for a bar mitzvah. They must adapt because they don't have time to take it back. The end product is a happy Meredith that is horribly written. Teddy approaches Richard and makes a case for becoming the new director of surgery. She feels disrespected that she wasn't taken into account, but Richard explains that they required a committee because the program was failing. But he assures Teddy that she can have the demanding job if she desires it. Teddy informs him that she needs time to consider it. When Meredith arrives, everyone applauds and toasts her. Helm sees Nick as he is seated at the bar. When she notices that Nick is not at Meredith's farewell celebration but is instead at the bar drinking. He is called out by Helm for being foolish and for being ready to let Meredith Grey go after she fell in love with him. Maggie attempts to explain to Winston that he can't change careers because he has a gift using their success with Arlo as evidence. In shock, Winston informs Maggie that he has been waiting for her to apologize for what she said about not respecting him ever since their argument. Winston describes Maggie as being frigid and that has given him a reason to dislike her. Nick understands that he won't be able to reach Meredith before she boards her flight. He stops, calls Meredith, and confesses his affection for her to her on the phone. He delivers a lengthy, emotionally charged speech, but Meredith claims she can't hear him. She promises to call him back when they land, though. Nick is conscious of having lost her. When Maggie asks to remain with Amelia, Jules and Blue start dating once more. Simone unexpectedly appears at Meredith's old house as Lucas arrives to remain there. She explains to him that Meredith gave her a key and permitted her to remain there while they fixed the attic hole. Simone admits that a relationship terminated when she was forced to leave her residency. She shoved Lucas away so that he wouldn't serve as a reband. Lucas claims he is fine with it, provided they are aware of what they are doing. Given that they already share a home, Simone thinks it would be a bad plan, and Lucas concurs. Mika also appears, claiming that Maggie had given her a key and permitted her to remain while they repaired the attic ceiling. During their flight to their new homes, Meredith tells her children Tess's most recent story.